You're listening to Two Beers Until Reminisce, a philosophy podcast by students and graduates. Whether you've never heard of philosophy or have a philosophy PhD, we hope you enjoy these conversations as we discuss some of life's big questions over a few beers. Enjoy! Hello, Zach.
Hello, Connor.
So, today, I wanted to talk about something that both of us have been involved with, and that is humanism.
Yes.
Yeah, because I was the president of, president, founder, chairman, because they thought that president was too grandiose a title, so
we were the founding fathers, mate.
I had to be chairman. So I was president of the Herefordshire Humanists for, I think, 3 years, 4 years?
Yeah, it was around, I'd say about 3 years.
I think it was 3.5. Yeah, that was something I did whilst I was in the second year of uni. And for anybody who doesn't know what humanism is, it's basically a non-religious approach to life. And this is one of the problems I want to kind of pick up on, is that it is quite ill-defined, and a lot of people within the group had different views on what humanism was. I think you and I probably had a different view to a lot of the people that came into the group.
Yeah.
So in this podcast, I just want to explain what I think humanism is and what I think for the both of us went wrong with that group and what went right with that group, and some of the problems with humanism, some of the good things about it. First of all, I'll just introduce you for a second. So we went to school together and then sixth form, but you didn't very much like sixth form, did you?
No, I found, a fantastic time at that school and the college itself. The teachers, the students, fantastic. Had, generally, looked forward to going to school and college respectively most days. But no, just you got to the second year, penultimate year was fine. But no, I was starting to drift away from academia already.
Yeah.
I remember one of the exams, I was actually quite badly ill and I couldn't even physically make it as well, which didn't help. And by then I kind of, just realised, well, in a way it was kind of I don't say blessing in disguise, but for want of a better phrase. But yeah, I just found that I get easily unstimulated, academia. Now it's more things, doing my spare time, so just listening to, BBC Inside science programme.
Athletics.
Yeah, things like that, yeah.
Yeah, well,
activities outside.
That's the thing. I think you figured out a trick before the rest of us did, that in a lot of cases academia isn't all it's cracked up to be. And I think this is actually why I started to get into humanism, was because of sixth form.
Yeah.
Because I was probably experiencing the same thing you were, but I didn't realise it. And I think a lot of that came from, I discovered philosophy. And at first I was like, oh, this is really cool, all these interesting ideas. And then I was like, there's a lot going on here. This is quite scary. And also, because I honestly thought I was going to fail for the first year of sixth form. And then when I started to get a few B's, I was like, oh shit, I could actually get some A's here.
Yeah.
And so it was this massive promise of academia of like, shit, where do I go? I've actually got choices now. It was that, plus the choices in philosophy. It was like, okay, God doesn't exist. So that actually leaves the field quite open for what you think now. And I was a little bit terrified by that question, looking back. So where I started to get into humanism was this idea called New Atheism, which is basically like bashing religion. I don't know if you've seen those fucking videos. Richard Dawkins.
Yeah,
Richard Dawkins.
Those are the first few, yeah.
Yeah, annihilates a stupid religious person. I was like binging those videos. He never does.
They're always sensationalised. There's always this guy absolutely destroys the other. When they both make fairly valid points. It's just
it's just one was presented.
It's clickbait.
Yeah, it's clickbait, exactly. But I think where a lot of people might have turned to religion or any kind of faith, I think lots of people do it with lots of different things. So like politics is one example. But in order to cope with the pressure of sixth form, I think I started to lean into this really critical. I think it's like a sense of meaning, but it's also a sense of like affirmation. People who are agreeing with you, people are like, don't worry, you're smart. These people that believe in God and all that nonsense, they're stupid. And it was through that eventually found humanism.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, this is like a positive side of,
Yes.
of atheism. So
there's a big misconception that a lot of people still have today about humanism, that it is just atheism with a kind of a decorative tag on the side, and they're different. They are different. Humanism does try and encourage good moral standing and upkeeping in society, rather than just being a complete polar opposite of theism.
yeah, that's the thing. A lot of, if you define yourself in terms of what you're not, you have nothing. You just basically given, like, mathematically, you've given like a minus. You haven't given anything, and that was one of my problems eventually with humanism. That okay, so if it's nothing, what is it exactly?
Yeah.
And I was really interested in having that conversation. It's like, okay, we've all come to this group because we don't believe in God, so what do we do now? And I think there are some good general answers, but in terms of the specifics, we never really got to that, because a lot of people in the group, I think you'll agree, were at the stage I was probably 4 years before. They were really into bashing religion.
Bashing, yeah.
Yeah. So there was that time we had the bishop. Were you there for that?
I wasn't, no, but I heard some very interesting stories from that night.
Yeah, fucking hell. A poor bloke. It was a vicar, sorry, not a bishop. Because I'd worked with this vicar before. I can't remember what it was on. I think it was like a charity. Straight away, I was like, I need some experience, and you need somebody for this charity. I like the cause, and I said, here's one of my experiences. I run the Humanist, and he was like, well, I'm obviously Church of England. You know that. I think it's great that we can do this. And he was very secular, and what I mean by secular is he wasn't non-religious. The whole point of secularism is there's no bias.
Yeah.
So he's open to all ideas, open to, so like if a country is politically secular, it doesn't favour a particular religion, it lets all religions have their freedom. And that was what he tried to talk about. He tried to talk about kind of ethics that humanists and Christians could share.
Yeah.
And
build a few bridges.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
Oh, I thought that was great. And I was like, okay, I agree with like 96% of everything you said, which is quite a lot for like a 40-minute talk. I don't know why I said 96, but And then they just started bashing him for things like Mother Teresa and stuff. It's like, mate, that's Catholic.
Yeah, it's not. It's different form of Christian.
Yeah, it's a different denomination, but I think there was a point in there somewhere, and I think it was a pretty good point. But the guy clearly didn't want to talk about it. He clearly wasn't interested in that conversation, and I think, yeah.
I'm hearing that allegations over bishops, kind of mispayments or relationships with.
Yeah, it's like
not at all. He's not representing.
No, not at all.
And we don't expect him to have to feel he needs to facilitate that kind of conversation, because that's just fortunately they are a minority in society, and that does not represent all Christians.
No, and I think there's something weird about lumping all Christians together in any sense, really, because I think one of the points he wanted to get across was his relationship with God is his own. It was quite personal, and the whole point of what he was talking about was something we could share in, a language we could share in, not because obviously he can't really talk about his faith other than I like God, I like to think he exists. You can't really offer much more than that in the context of religion. So what do we think went well with heritage humanists?
I believe that there was a lot of cohesion in the group, and I like the fact, not just for the sake of filling quotas, but there was a completely mixed demographic of attendees there.
You mean we got some people that weren't 100?
Well, no, I mean we got some people there that were 100.
Yeah.
And we got some people there that weren't 100.
Yeah.
It was good to see a lot of people from all areas of the county of Herefordshire.
Yeah, and even if they didn't stay, I think that's really good that some people are were just interested. That's good enough for now. Like that people are interested in, open to these ideas.
Yeah, and you can still have things like these fundraisers without people to feel that they're directly for Christian cause or such. People can fundraise without, and humanists, you can have that as well. You can have these groups. You can meet. We met up for a couple of walks in the countryside as well.
Mm. Yeah, well, I think the walks were some of the best bits.
Yeah.
Where was that walk we did? Is it?
Oh, we had one on Coppet Hill.
Yeah, Coppet Hill was the best one, I think. I did
I can't remember the other one now.
Yeah, I did one in near Ross and Y.
Yeah.
And I think there was another one, but that was the one event I didn't go to. No, you chaired an event for me actually.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, I filled in one.
That was the guy talking about assisted dying. That was like apparently the best fucking talk ever, and I just missed it.
Yeah, there was a lot of positive feedback from the attendees that night. And the Q&A section at the end was probably the most. It wasn't controversial at all, but it just provoked a lot of interesting responses.
Well, assisted dying is like one of the biggest humanist causes, and it's much more broader than humanism as well. It's one that humanism happens to champion. Because I think, as far as we can ascertain humanist values, ideas like assisted dying, having dignity and having the right to your own life is as humanist as it gets.
Absolutely. That was very unfortunate. To hear, of course, it's probably been more than a year since the bill in Parliament was passed and rejected.
It keeps getting rejected. Yeah, they every few years the humanists will get a new face of their movement, and it'll normally be somebody who's going through some kind of illness. And I like to keep track of the campaigns and support it if I can. And it's really sad. You'll just see like these people just looking worse and worse on all the pictures, and giving more statements about how desperate they are to end their life on their own terms. Yeah. No, I imagine the Q&A was just really full of emotion, just really great.
It's also just not just a promotion of good moral standards in society, but it would be things like these celebrant based events where you can get married.
That's
you can have a funeral, and there doesn't have to be any. This could be in a church. This could not be in a church. It does not have to have any religious context.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point, because that was probably, and I still think that is the main place where humanism continues to see a lot of success, is in these ideas of you can mark occasions in your life without having to mention the man in the sky who you may or may not believe in. It's like you can craft something that's personal, so like a wedding, you can have that just completely on your own terms. You can, if you want to walk down the aisle to a certain song, you can. I know there are a lot of churches that will accommodate that kind of stuff, but it's just nice to, because I don't think most people believe in that. When your local vicar starts saying, and now we'll all stand and let's read this thing that nobody knows any of those hymns.
No.
And I think that's fine if you do believe that of course, that there could be no, if you do believe, there could be no greater expression of that day for you, but and the values you believe in. But if you don't, it's kind of like
almost, disrespectful to the person that's died if it's not really.
Well, a lot of vicars and bishops and things have been keen to pass on people who they think, so they're organising a funeral. A lot of them will go, oh, I can tell you're not religious. I can tell the geezer who died isn't religious. So we'll hand you over to the humanists, and they can tailor something that suits you and your beliefs or lack of beliefs. And that's another thing. So the idea that if you have a lack of beliefs, that's somehow less meaningful and less rich. We never really encountered that. We had those. We had a few Christians who attended.
Oh yeah, we welcomed all attendees. I don't want to go as far as say that a couple of those, a lot of them very open-minded, a lot of them very level-headed.
Very.
We had now and then what we describe as gate crashers, but not in a really dramatic way as such. But
I bet
a couple of born-again Christians.
Well, some of the members of our group would have loved them to be proper gate crashers. They would have loved the confrontation, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would have had to have policed that with our riot shields that we had ready,
stored away,
waiting
underneath the Humanist Bible. I do actually have a book over there. It's a secular Bible, but it's not like a Bible. It just takes inspiration from some of the poetry.
Okay. Oh, so it's not a.
It's written in the style of the Bible.
It's not based on satire at all. It's just kind of.
No, it's basically to communicate the point that without any reference to God or divinity, you can have a book the same length, the same style, the same whatever, and have the same kind of moral lessons. Well, it's not really lessons; they're discussions. So like
ethical questions.
Yeah, just raising ethical questions and gently kind of looking at how they might be solved. But also like taking examples of great works of art and great works of science, and kind of working everything into like a nice human story of lots of different things, lots of different cultures. I think that's a great idea. The book got panned, and it is called The Good Book, and it looks like a Bible. It's the biggest book on my shelf, the big white one.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it does kind of. Oh yeah.
I think unless you've seen some.
It does say quite clearly in smaller font than The Good Book. It does say a secular Bible.
Yeah.
I can understand how a lot of people misinterpret that as,
And I think there are elements to certain humanist communities that have like a pretty regressive idea of. I think they probably would like to moralise and preach. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's a problem with humanism in general. I don't know how far back that goes. Like, because did you ever come to any of the conferences with me?
I went to one. I can't remember which one that actually, in all honesty, but I wasn't able to attend most of them. I probably would have learned quite a bit from it.
Well, I only went to a couple, and they were fine. There was no like mention of Christianity even, but I still got this sense of, well, what is humanism other than just being a good person? Like, because I think a lot of people are good people. Yeah. Maybe it doesn't need to be any more than that.
Maybe it is overanalyzed.
Maybe that's just the philosopher in me going, well, what is good? Which I think is a genuine question to discuss and ask. But I think most of the time we just do it. I think the discussion is an afterthought, in a very, very basic sense. Like, the idea of just being compassionate doesn't need to be broken down. Like, you just be nice.
Yeah, you don't have to be necessarily a Christian or a humanist or an atheist.
Yeah.
You could just be a nice person. I can understand how a lot of people feel that they now suddenly, why do I have to be a humanist? You're just going to shove a lot of new rhetoric down my throat. You're going to dictate to me as to what I should believe. I'm not about that at all. I can understand why people again might misunderstand. Although a lot of the talks are informal and not kind of seminar based, really as such.
No. One of the things that I got asked a lot was, why do this? Why be a humanist as opposed to if you like walks, why not just set up a rambling society where you can go around the county, and if you like talks on politics and science and things, why do you have to frame that as humanism? Why not just have it? And I don't know. Have you got an answer to that?
Well, in terms of let's take the first one, the rambling society as such, we could have done. The problem is, of course, during the winter months, it worked a lot more effectively in the humble abode of the meeting room or the pub.
Yeah, I'm not going
pub, as you will.
I'm not going out in the fucking
we're not going out in January. the winter of discontent that we had last year. What Beast from the East ×2. Yeah, let's go out for a ramble and marauder then.
I had a skylight in my bedroom, and for like 4 days I couldn't see through it. It was just a big lump of snow and ice just on top of it.
Yeah. Some people who are quite quiet in the classroom setup, they come out of their shell and interact more in for one of these walks.
They're great reasons to include that in a humanist society. But yeah, a lot of people will be like, well, why call this humanism at all? Why do you bother being a humanist? Well, I think a lot of people who ask that are probably not aware of what humanism is for a start.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just a default I'm an atheist. I think, like we say, the whole point of going to do something fairly vocational with your time as well, something that's active and good for the community, would generally define most kind of organised humanists rather than just an atheist. But you want to promote being
that's exactly the thing. Yeah, it's the idea of promoting the idea of good, and atheism in itself doesn't have to do that. I mean, you could be a dictator and an atheist, as history has shown. Like, atheism doesn't have anything to do with anything. It literally just means you're not a Christian or a Hindu or whatever.
We'd like to set up a fundraiser, organise a raffle or a charity quiz for the blind. Oh, and by the way, we're not doing this for any church parish group. We just happen to not all believe in the man in the sky.
Yeah, a humanist way of thinking is, so there's not a God, therefore it's on us to kind of step up to that challenge. There's no saviour, there's no afterlife, this is what we have and we need to make the most of it.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't you just be nice? Like, and I think the difference between atheism, people who describe themselves as atheists and don't do anything with it, and something like a humanist is, humanists take that question a lot more seriously than atheism does by default. Or at least that was my experience coming from simple atheism into atheistic humanism.
Yeah.
There is actually a thing called like Christian humanism, but I think that complicates things. Like, my fucking brain.
Oh dear. I haven't got any IQ left now. No, yeah, with atheists, I think, you know, not speaking for all, I wouldn't speak for all atheists, but
yeah, I mean,
a lot kind of live by the morals of, you know, you only live once, devil may care attitude, do what I want, no consequences, why should I bother being nice to her anyway?
Yeah.
There's going to be no consequences, and there's going to be no afterlife, no consequences, so I can just do whatever I want and feel no repercussions.
Okay, so that's humanism in a basic sense. That it's response to the nothingness of atheism. But then I think what I wanted to get onto, which that was hard enough, convincing some people that God would always come up. It's like, for somebody who you don't believe in, you talk about
He's got an awful lot.
fucking awful lot. Like, could we fucking stop? And it would, you know, these kind of witty remarks that keep coming up in the Q&A, like, you gave a really good speech, and I'd just like to say that I was browsing through Huffington Post, and I saw that a bishop had been laundering money, and I thought in your speech you were almost as crafty as him. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? You just wanted to say that you've been reading Huffington Post and you hate Christians. That wasn't a that wasn't a genuine comment. That was.
Yeah, that wasn't a direct quote, but that's an example of the kind of questions that would be put forward.
Yeah, that's
Q&A.
that's not a question. Most of them are statements. But I think that's the problem.
It's opinion, not news.
Yeah, well, I used to get that in. So I used to run a couple of philosophy societies over here in this area, and I can't fucking fathom why that happens so much. People just like giving opinions as questions. Like, usually the speaker's like, was there a question mark at the end of that? Do you want me to say anything? It's like, no. It's like, oh, right, okay.
I just thought it'd make some sort of declarative statement, you know.
I kind of get it. I think it's kind of cool to be in a room where you can just give your opinion and people go, yeah. But I think maybe just say that for the pub afterwards.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I couldn't get this idea across really, and I think largely that was the demographic we had. The attendance lowered a lot, and we only had very diehard regulars at the end. And I think maybe the reason for that was because there were a lot of people who were in no camp whatsoever. They were very much open to new ideas. They were sort of searching for a bit of, maybe they were just looking for a social club, but I think they were also looking for a little bit of meaning, and I don't think we really offered that to them as well as we could.
No, because we've always got to look at it, you know, what could we have done more? Like I say, with, in the end, dwindling attendance numbers, there's only so much that we can really do, especially when you're trying to book loads of guest speakers, and, you know, from a commercial sense, not being able to cover the cost of the train fare for the guest speaker when you've got two blokes and his dog in the corner.
Yeah.
So it becomes not really, you know, we don't want to be a business or an enterprise, but I felt as the, you know, the treasurer, that, you know, has to keep a lid on things, obviously, and, you know,
we had a dog,
budgets. We had a dog?
Yeah, a fucking dog came with us twice.
Oh, on the walk. Yeah. I thought you meant in the lecture room. Just imagine a dog stood at the front with a mortarboard on his head, pointing at a PowerPoint.
I think So I think there's a couple. Christ.
Probably a better guest speaker than I was.
Probably. So I think there's a couple of problems. Why these people didn't stay, and I think we couldn't really offer them that much in the way of meaning, because we were still trying to wrestle with the group in terms of really defining what we were talking about all the whole way through when we were saying the word humanism. But also, I think maybe there's too much of a lean towards that kind of academic side of things. I mean, even you saying like you didn't like academia, but I think you're obviously still interested in talking and just having, going to talks as well. But I think some people just aren't interested in anything. Like maybe they dropped out of school, and that's not like a bad thing per se at all. But I do think they are not going to be interested in listening to some guy talk about skepticism or like, I don't know, assisted dying even.
Yeah.
Or like political causes, or even if the talks are entertaining and funny. Basically, bottom line is they don't want to go to a talk.
No.
And that's very hard to cater for people that do want intellectual stimulation, because at the end of the day, when you boil it down, these ideas are quite intellectual, but other people just aren't into that, and that's a very hard thing to cater for. And I think probably the other reason was people didn't like some of the new atheists.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if we'd have maybe just offered one or two more vocational events, okay, we did a walk, we met, had a meal in the pub. If we had maybe just organised another charity quiz, for example, just a fundraiser, something like that.
Yeah.
That probably would have improved the team chemistry, if you will, and it would have got to be that sound balance of improving people's understanding, and
maybe it's because we're autistic.
You...
Because to be honest,
maybe it's because we're just on the spectrum. Because
I thought that's what people like to do. Because look at what we're doing in our spare time. This bollocks.
This is not a bad way to spend a Wednesday.
2 Perrys until...
I could be out on the street mugging people. Jesus. I mean, there's worse things I could be
doing.
Oh,
of course, but like... I could be out on the street mugging people. Great.
Any views that I express do not represent the Herefordshire Humanists.
Well, yeah, that's a given. So, yeah, I can't really think what people do for socialising. Well, if it doesn't involve something a little bit interesting.
Forfeit, quiz round, and whoever gets the least points on the round of Humanist, BHA themed British Humanist Association questions has to down a picture of Kermit or something. And for those of you who don't know, a picture of Kermit is a concoction that is green in nature, like Mr. Kermit the Frog, and it consists of
vodka, Arches, Bacardi,
lemonade,
orange juice, ice. Don't forget the ice. And like Bowls Blue or Caraco, anything that's blue, basically.
Antifreeze. That shit you get in your lava lamp. Anything that's blue, whack it in there, and you've got yourself a Kermit.
You'll feel the same afterwards. Before we finish, I just wanted to explain what I think humanism is.
Okay.
And why I align myself that way. And I'm only going to do this like really briefly. So I think the problem with religion, and I use that term very broadly, and fair enough, it's not the thing to be done, but just for a basic conversation, I think the problem with religion is that there is inherently a negative premise that it starts from. It sets out to deny something, and it's a confrontation to a cosmic challenge. So it's like this particular behaviour, this like the original sin is the big example, or in Buddhism's case, dukkha, which is suffering, is just this inherent evil that we can never ignore. It is innate. We can't get around it. If you start with that kind of premise, you're only going to have an ideology of denial. And I think that's true of all religions. So, but the exception of paganism, actually, there's nothing remotely like that in paganism. If anything, it affirms the inherent beauty of nature and the vitality it has. But yeah, all the Abrahamic religions are very much based around those kind of ideas, and so are the Eastern ones, to be honest. Especially the later iterations of Hinduism, and I just think, in my definition of religion as well, I would probably include most ideologies, and that's, I know that's very controversial, and that's probably more subjective, semantic, but the reason for that is because I think religion, as well as its negativity, also consists of the idea of something being infallible. Something somewhere, some form of authority has to be utterly unnegotiable.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between theology in its thinking and philosophy. So theology has this basic premise. It says there's this one idea that we can't go back on, and that is that God exists.
Yeah.
You're doing theology within that framework. Philosophy,
We want you to be open-minded and question things, but by the way, at the same time, we don't want you to be open-minded.
Yeah.
We don't want you to question anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just, Adam and Eve originally were not in the Garden of Eden, if you will, were not naked, and suddenly God created nakedness as a way to suddenly now shame has been created.
yeah,
And like I said, the opposite of paganism. They're not paganistic in any way, shape or form, but something that's quite positive, that promotes the body image.
yeah,
The way you are at one with nature, if you will. It's a sin to be
Yeah.
naked.
exactly. And paganism doesn't have that idea of sin. Not that I fucking love paganism and I'm a pagan, but it's pretty cool. I know a lot of pagans and get on really well. I get on really well with a lot of Christians actually. And why wouldn't I?
Absolutely. Yeah. I know many Christians who it almost feels embarrassing that we have to discuss it in this way in 2019, but
yeah,
a lot of Christians and a lot of atheists or a lot of humanists do actually, funny enough, get on quite well.
Yeah,
and
some
have
of my best friends
intellectual
throughout uni.
conversations. And,
yeah. Some of my best friends throughout uni were Christians. We had conversations just like this, and it was great.
Sometimes we share a lot of the same moral values as well. It's just simply the existential question that we probably differ on.
Yeah, and this is the thing. I think we share basically all of our moral values. It's just a question of where we get them from. But I think that isn't quite enough to separate humanism from Christianity. So I think if I was going to sum up one fundamental difference, it's that authority doesn't really play the same role. Authority is more of a guide in humanism. It's not a do or don't, and if you don't, there's going to be trouble. Also, the idea of why things are good. So I imagine, it's kind of satirically, that a Christian wakes up in the morning and goes, "Oh fucking, I'll have a good cuppa, I love some crumpets," but it's not good. The only reason it's good is because God put it here, and it's like, can things not just be good?
Yeah.
Do they have to have that explanation? Do they have to have any explanation? Can they not just be nice? Can you not just go out into the street and be nice to someone? Why do you need Jesus to tell you that?
Yeah.
I've got no problem with the teachings of Jesus at all, but I kind of do have a problem with the idea that morality comes from a book. It's like, for a start, it doesn't. The book was written because there was that morality anyway, and that was a way to write it down into poetry. In fact, early Christianity seems to indicate that was the case. But people, I guess, have forgotten that, and they worship the teaching of the thing they already believe in the wrong order, and I'm not sure. Yeah, I think fundamentally humanism has to be a complete affirmation of everything, and almost like a just skepticism of everything, and a gentle discussion, continual discussion of conversations like this, of what it means to be good. And that was one of the big problems I had eventually was, well, how do we live in such a unsettled state if we're constantly talking about things?
What do we know as a proactive?
Yeah, like if we can't agree on anything and give it a set way of being, then how do we sort of move on from that? I think the answer is just to believe things, but believe them and then wait to have your mind changed on them, and be comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've ranted on for way too long.
I agree with that. Well, you've respected your own beliefs, but then at the same time you're ready to be proven otherwise. And if you did have, let's say, a life-changing experience, you're now open to other interpretations, but you live by a certain branch you'd like to stick to, but don't have such a dogmatic view on everything. No, I'd vouch for that. Yeah.
And recently we did a podcast on pseudoscience, and in that we were a little bit critical of some ideas like fairies and ghosts and things. And I think one of the reasons I dislike those ideas is because it almost seems like things that aren't real are being put into this world because this world doesn't seem enough. And humanism being a philosophically optimistic idea, I just think, isn't it enough? Isn't this world enough, basically?
Yeah.
You don't need to throw weird creatures into it to make it fascinating. It already is.
Yeah.
On that note, I think we'll end it there. So, thank you very much.
Chin chin, everyone, and enjoy a pear cider on us.
Right. Cheers.